Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another Reader's Magnet featured author interview. My name is Mark, and I am your host for today. And we are here on our featured author interview with one of our authors. Here to share more about her journey as an author and the inspiration behind her book, Sharon Arrindel. Hi, Sharon. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great as well. Thank you for asking. But I would just want to say thank you so much for attending our interview today, Sharon. And we're so happy to have you here and so glad that you chose our platform to share your story with the world. And to be honest with you, I'm so excited to have this interview with you because I just can't wait to know more about you and and your journey as an author and the what is the book all about.
Okay.
But before all of that, Sharon, can you please introduce yourself to our audience right now?
Well, my name is Dr. Sharon Arrindel. I am the CEO and founder of Inspired Wholeness Enterprise.
Hmm.
It sounds so large. I get to coach, counsel, be an author, be a speaker, all of those platforms. I get to do that now globally, and it's been an amazing ride. Um, it's been up, down, sideways, all over the place. But today, I am living my best life. That's what I keep telling everyone, and so that's me in a nutshell. I am a mother, a grandmother of so many little ones, and
Oh,
so I'm hoping that what I do today will be a great legacy for them coming behind me.
wow, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Sharon. But Now we can actually now proceed on knowing more about your book. Okay, Dr. Sharon, I am actually so intrigued about the title of your book, Armored and Victorious. And can you please share with us the reason behind the title of your book?
Well, I'm an ordained pastor, and
Mm-hmm.
so I wrote it. It's my story written from a biblical point of view, godly point of view. I wrote a book prior to this one called Weapons for Victory, Memoirs of a Perfect Storm. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is the sequel to that. Everybody kept asking, when are you going to write the sequel? When are you going to write the sequel? Well, it took years to pen it in journals and different things. And it took a year and a half to literally push it out
Mm-hmm.
and push it out so far that on May 2nd, it took 16 hours for it to become a bestseller. And so I'm really excited about this book, not just because it's about me, but because the lines, the page, the story will help somebody out there realize that they too can be armored. And I chose armored because when you're armed, you have a weapon. But when you're armored, you're fully clothed in armor. If you go back to Roman soldiers or even soldiers of today, they have
Mm-hmm.
to cover all of their parts, make sure everything is covered so they don't get attacked and even killed. And so that's what I had to do. I had to put on all my parts as a soldier and ride this out. And what a journey it has been. And today, I get to push it out to the world and let them know that they too can be armored and victorious and enter into a crossover season that is second to none.
Wow, wow, Sharon. Can you please also show your book right now and tell us the inspiration of what event in life that started you to write the book? And please show the book as well at the same
Well, this
time.
is the book. You know, this is the book. I've written several books and I really don't like to see me on the cover. So my cover designer thought it was really funny to say that you won't see you, but I saw three of me. And so he did this great design and me in my soldier armor outfit. The inspiration for the book, like I said, it is my story, and it tells the world all of the things that I had to go through to get here, to get to this better place that I'm in. Nobody is without suffering and stuff, but some of the journey was very difficult. It was very difficult. It was very difficult to write the book because I realized that now the world would be seeing me naked, all of me, all of my parts, all of my ups, all of my downs, all of my sideways. But at the end of the day, they will also see my victories. And
Correct.
so it ends victorious. It's not the end of me, but the end of the book is victorious. And I, you know, I don't know how much you want me to tell. Don't want to give it away, but I went through some horrific things, especially as it pertains to marriage. And so
Oh,
now I get to counsel couples. Isn't that ironic? I get to counsel couples. I get to do pre-marriage, marriage, and divorce care because I've been a part of each one of those. And so I went to school for all that. And now I get to salvage some marriages out there or help some people about to get married understand what they're getting into. And also those who didn't make it, help them to know that there's care for those going through the prongs and the prangs of divorce.
wow, thank you so much for sharing that, Sharon. Um, Now, let us talk about the process of you writing the book and um, what events. And I'm sure you mentioned that the book is something personal or a life experience, right?
Mhm,
I'm sure
mhm.
that you experienced something that I think you also mentioned it already, that I experienced something hardship and struggles while writing the book. Can you share more about it?
Um, well, the struggles begin in the first book, right? Um, the struggles begin in 1999 when a hurricane hit my home in New York in the form of Hurricane Floyd. They said it was they called it a storm, but to us, it was a hurricane. It took everything we
Okay.
owned.
Oh, that's
Um,
sad.
the the water came rushing in. We lived in New York, and so we were in our basement of our house, me, my children, and I, and saw that water going up that glass door. I remember thinking, where is it going to go when it gets to the top? Well, I got to see where it went. It came right into our house, and we literally swam out of this muddy stuff in this muddy water. My children, my two children, and I, and that was the beginning. That was the reason for the first book, Weapons for Victory: Memoirs of a Perfect Storm, because it turned out to be perfect because we didn't die. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't
Okay.
die. We're still here. We're still here to this day. And
You won the
then
battle.
we we won. We won, and but it left us a little damaged because their dad, he couldn't handle it, so he
Oh my God, I'm so
left.
sorry. I'm so
He
sorry.
left. He didn't die. He just, well, now he's deceased, but
Oh,
then he just walked away from the
oh,
whole
that's
thing.
sad. That's so sad.
And
Mm-hmm.
and so we ended up living in someone's home, which, even though it sounds like a bad thing, was a blessing for us because they took us in as family. We're still family to this day. Um, and they became an anchor that I needed because I had to start life all over, reinvent myself, go back to school. Ah, that was the hardest part, going back to school at 40 years old. To you, you may not know, but to me, was a challenge going back to school and acquiring. I went back because I wanted to take care of my children, but I ended up acquiring all of these degrees
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to do better for me, not just my children, but for me and for the world. And then end up in another marriage, which this book is about, where, waited 10 years, so I could talk to all these young women waiting out there. It's not about the waiting, it's how you wait, why you wait, and what are you waiting for. And I could not really answer all of those questions back then. I just felt like you get to the point where it's lonely, so let's just get married and call it a day. Well, at that point I was 50, and so what could happen at 50 is the question, right? Well, a lot happened because that person ended up being addicted to crack cocaine, and it really plummeted our lives, my life. Again, find yourself like you're going under, but you're still swimming. You're not dying, you're still swimming. And so this book goes into more detail about that and what it was like, and the fact that at the end of the day, God saved my life again. And so that's the story here. And you get to read about me crossing over from all of that, even through COVID and all that came with that. So it's a good read. It's a good read. When I read
Wow.
it, I feel
Wow.
like I'm reading about somebody else, but it's a good read.
Actually, I can say right now that the book is very interesting, Sharon, because I'm really inspired about your life.
Mhm.
Even though you've experienced all of those horrible events on your life, it's still you've managed to be this far and still surviving and still striving hard to be better. You know, and you actually did publish two books already, right?
I've published, I think this is number 8.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay,
Yeah.
wow. So actually, to be honest with you, Dr. Sharon, before I did this interview with you, I did a bit of research about you, and wow, boy, I learned a lot about you. You've been featured to several magazines.
Yeah.
You had this bachelor degrees, and you've been a cum laude, and wow, it's so amazing that you are so many what do you call this, have lots of title in one body. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
even knowing those experiences in life, still I'm so amazed about the idea how you strive to achieve all
Mhm.
of those.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
been
it's
a
so
ride.
inspiring. It's really
Yeah.
inspiring, Sharon. You don't know how much I inspired to be to keep going in life right
Hmm.
now. So thank you so much for that, Sharon. um One question though, what do you want your readers to take away after reading your book?
Um, that you can be whole even after fragmentation, brokenness. That's the reason for the name of my company, Inspired Wholeness Enterprise, and the name of my counseling practice, Wholeness Counseling and Coaching Service. Wholeness, some people, and I refer to myself as well as the Wholeness Magnet. I want everybody to come away whole, to realize you don't have to be broken after all these things happen. I am a firm believer in God. Obviously, I somebody literally ordained me a pastor, and I get I don't have a church building of my
Mm-hmm.
own, but I have a church beyond the walls of the building. And now I get to go to places like Paris. And tomorrow I get to go to New York. I get to
Wow.
come to you all in San Diego. I get to go global as church, whatever you want to call church. And I get to not just tell my story, but inspire others to write their own, whether you're writing it in a book or just writing it in your head. Just write your own story because at the end of the day, when you finish writing, you realize I made it, you know? I crossed
I
over.
know, right?
I crossed over. I did. Even you, young guy, Mark, you crossed over. I'm sure you crossed over some things to get here, you know. And so yeah, that's my takeaway. That's the takeaway I want everyone to have.
Now, I'm sure that is really making for those who are watching right now or who will see this video soon. I'm sure they are so excited to buy a copy of your book already because after hearing all of these, even I right now is so so curious and know more about the content of your book and is really wanna get a grab a copy of your book right now. But Sharon, you mentioned that you already have 8 books published. Are you currently doing anything or cooking something else right now?
Yeah, a lot is cooking up in my head, right? Always cooking up in my head. You don't get to this point with no hair and whatever is on there is white. You don't get there by just, streaming along and just la la la. So yeah, I am the next one is an anthology. Anthology for I'm writing with well, I'm just the visionary, right? I'm looking for some woman, some married woman, to write an anthology called From Suffering to Joy. Just looking at the things that can happen in a marriage, and yet you end up in a place of joy. And so that's the next thing. And then right behind that, I keep hearing from men, they want me to write a book for men. So my book for men is called Man of Valor Who Can Find. And I will get to talk to some men about the reasoning behind who they are and why they show up the way they do sometimes. I kind of understand why women do, but it'd be interesting to know why
The other side.
the other side do some of what they do. And so those are the two things as far as writing that are in my space, my head space right now.
Wow, wow, wow. We are so excited for that, Sharon, Dr. Sharon.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your upcoming book, which is all about something about women and marriage. Um, do you have any advice that you want to share to all women out there that is facing some struggles in life right now?
Um, if you look at it as a struggle, then it remains a struggle, right? But if you look at it as a stepping stone, then it becomes a part of your journey. I used to look at it as, why in the world am I struggling? Why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to go through that? And then at the end of my questions, I realized, hey, but you're still standing. Hey, but you're still doing. Hey, but you're still moving forward. And throughout the years, I have learned that if we could just be still on the journey and let it happen, so to speak. God does have a plan for each one of our lives. Now, the idea is to line up with Him on the plan and work it out. And so if you could just do that, if you could just line align yourself and
Hmm.
be authentic. And I literally have a coaching program, and it's for unmarried women that I'm pushing out in the beginning of August or so, and it's called The Waiting Room, and it's called Wait for the Dream. And the WAIT is an acronym. It's woman, aligned, and authentic, independently thriving. And if you could just wait like that, authentic, you know, um, aligned, independently thriving, it would be an amazing ride, not just for women, but for men, for every one of us. It would be amazing to see what would happen to us at the end of the day, and that we would realize, hey, I'm here, I'm still here, I'm still functioning, I'm still walking, I'm still talking. Even people who have lost limbs, you ever see people who have lost limbs?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
tend to, if they jump in, like I just said, they tend to find other limbs somewhere. They find a way to jump off of that and let it become a story that people could read and go, oh, if they could do that, I could do this, And so that is the bottom line, right? The bottom line is for people who would read my story and go, oh, if she could do that, I could do this. And it's so many different things that we have to go through to get to cross over. But crossing over can happen, and it all depends on the individual, depends on the person.
Wow. Wow, Dr. Sharon, I just love how optimistic and authentic you are about life. And
Mhm.
you really are inspiring me right now. And I'm sure all of our viewers right now are really inspired about your story and the things you shared to us right now. Now, I
Mhm.
think we are down to our last question for
Ah,
today, Dr. Sharon. So my last question will be, what do you think makes a good book?
oh boy. What makes a good book? It's actually a storyline, right? Because I like to read. I don't just like to write, but I like to read. And I'm currently reading a book called Still Standing. It was written by Dennis Kimbrough, and what he did was he took 5 years. He's written other books, like he's written books where he talked about entrepreneurs, where he
Hmm.
talked about rich people, wealthy, where he talked about success, all of that. But this particular book that I am reading right now, he took 5 years to interview 1,000 Black African American grandmothers. And he asked them to write a letter to their future, to their, whether it's their biological grandchildren or just grandchildren in general. And I'm reading that thing as if they were talking directly to me, and the mantra throughout the book, because some of them were 100, some of them in their 90s, some of them younger. But the bottom line is what they recommend is to just live, you know, live until you can't live anymore. Even my 100-year-old woman in there, she was talking about the many, many, many presidents that she saw, you know, throughout her life. And at the end of the day, she would say to her grandchildren, as a result of all these presidents, you now have the freedom to live better than me. And so a good book requires groundwork. And I know that he did a lot of groundwork for that. A good book requires a good ending and a good beginning and a good middle. And you have to know where to place each and every one of those things so you keep your audience interested. They're interested from the beginning where it says introduction, and even before that, especially if you have a foreword or you have people write endorsements, they get the book from there, and it's supposed to intrigue them to want to open the pages. And from the introduction all the way to the end, it keeps them on the edge of their seat,
Mm,
on the edge of their
okay.
seat. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Sharon Arundel. Thank you so much for that input. All right. So now, for the last time, Dr. Sharon Arundel, can you please show your book and invite everyone to grab a copy of your book?
Yes, this is my book, Armored and Victorious: Memoirs of a Crossover Season. You can find it on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. If you want a signed copy, however, you can find it on my website at www www.inspiredwholenesscounseling.com/services, well, slash publication slash, and I will be happy to send you a signed copy along with some little gifts that I give, for you just purchasing it. When you purchase the book, read it, digest it, and write a review if you can. Thank you so much.
All right, so yes, that's Dr. Sharon Arrindel, everyone, author of that book, Armored and Victorious. Book is available on Amazon and Barnes& and Noble and also on her website. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Sharon Arrindel. As we say here at Readers Magnet, we share your story with the world. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you.